I just went on for more of the same, and at one point it was 7 girlfriends.
Hugh Hefner had 4 children in total, but what happened to them after he passed away? And where are they now? Not surprisingly, some of Hugh's kids actually grew up in the Playboy Mansion, and some of them even followed in their father's footsteps running the company. But it was one child in particular who decided to shake things up and go a different route than the rest of the family. Hugh's first child and his only daughter is Christie Hefner. She was born from his first marriage to a woman named Mildred Williams. Hugh and Mildred were married in 1949, but later divorced after 10 years and 2 children together in 1959. The two of them also went on to have Hugh's first son, David Hefner, but even though his first 2 children were born from the same mother, the two of them actually end up leading very different lives. Christie had always followed in her father's footsteps. She was extremely involved in the family business. She helped to start the company of Playboy in 1975 and even became president of Playboy Enterprise in 1982 before finally becoming CEO in 1988. But after more than 30 years at the head of the whole company, she decided to step down in 2009. She stated that the election of President Barack Obama inspired her to spend more of her time doing charitable work. But even though she stepped away from the company, she was still heavily associated with it, and she established the Hugh M. First Amendment Awards. She also helped to raise $30 million for CORE Chicago, which was the first outpatient facility for those diagnosed with AIDS. And she even delivered various talks on criminal justice and prevention of substance use, and was named one of Forbes' 100 most powerful women in the world several times. Her younger brother David, on the other hand, didn't exactly choose the same lifestyle as his father and older sister. He decided to stay out of the spotlight. In 2012, Hugh tweeted a picture of him and David, but it's since been deleted and his life still remains a mystery to this day. By all accounts, it appears that he's living the most normal life out of all of Hugh's children, and based on some reports, it's possible that he does something with computers for a living. After his first marriage, Hugh got married to a woman named Kimberly Conrad in 1989, and he had 2 more children with her. His younger child, Cooper Hefner, also followed in his older half-sister's footsteps in running the company, but he had a lot more of a reason to do so. By the time he was born, the Playboy Mansion had already been established, which meant that he pretty much grew up there. So when he was old enough to join the family business, it meant a lot to him, and he ended up becoming the chief creative officer. But that wasn't the only thing that he did with his life. He was also the founder and former CEO of a startup media company called Hop, and he was even a member of the California State Military Reserve. But out of all the children, perhaps the most interesting one is Marston Hefner, Cooper's older brother. Marston was born out of Kimberly and Hugh's marriage as their first child, and much like his younger brother, he too was raised in the Playboy Mansion for his first 8 years. But Marston forged his own path, and he has also been the most outspoken about what it's really like being the son of his legendary father. His young adulthood was first spent getting into a considerable amount of trouble, and he was arrested in 2012. At the time, he was arrested on suspicion of possibly attacking his girlfriend, Claire Sinclair, who was a Playboy playmate. He was ultimately found guilty and sentenced to 1 year in a DV program, and he was also ordered to stay away from Claire for 3 years. But just last year in August, it was revealed that he has turned his life around and now works in adult photography. And while that might sound like he's following in his father's footsteps, it turns out that he's actually the subject of his own photography. He has an OF account where he posts revealing pictures of himself, and he even spoke to Fox News Digital about his new life path. He said that he really enjoyed being proactive in a way that made sense to him ethically, as long as he felt like it wasn't doing any harm. And he added that there was really nothing wrong with being unclothed and making money off of it, and that he thought that it was an awesome idea for him to pursue. But he said that he doesn't just share revealing pictures on his page, he also uses the platform to showcase his passions, including collecting Pokemon cards and Beanie Babies. Apparently, OF is really more of an Instagram to him. While explaining it to Fox, he said that when he falls in love, he doesn't just fall in love with somebody's body, he falls in love with the person. So on his OF page, he believes that his passions also play a huge part in what makes him attractive to other people. He treats his account like a diary. Overall, he said that it gives people the opportunity to see all different aspects of his life. If they want to see see him unclothed, they can. If they want to know more, they can do that as well. Just last year, he also celebrated his 1-year wedding anniversary to his wife, Anna Lamberpolos Hefner, and they even welcomed their son, Forrest Glenn, in July of last year. But now that he has a wife and a child, he is finding it a little difficult to continue posting himself online, stating that his wife struggled with the idea at first. And although she's now supportive of it, he worries about what his son might feel about it when he gets older. But his willingness to get in front of the camera may come largely from his upbringing at the Playboy Mansion, which he also touched on in his Fox interview. He said that growing up, being unclothed was completely normal and it wasn't even scandalous. He also stated that if growing up in the mansion taught him one thing, it was that it's okay to do something different even if people think negatively about it. As long as you're okay with your own moral and ethical system, you can do things that are considered to be out of the box. He also said that growing up in the mansion was just like growing up in a normal house, and there weren't wild parties happening all the time like people thought. There were even moments when he got connected with some of his favorite celebrities who came through the mansion, like famous sci-fi author Ray Bradbury, who Marston said he really admired since he aspired to be a writer himself. Despite being brought up in the way that others would deem inappropriate for a child, Marston said that he was blessed to have had the childhood that he did, and he wouldn't change it for anything. But what do you guys think about all this? What are your thoughts on Marston's comments on growing up in the mansion? Do you think it had an overall negative or positive impact on the kids' lives? I would love to hear what you have to say about this one, so let me know in the comments below.